today.
Yeah. Hi everybody, my name is Mfundo Nkosi and I'm gonna take you through South Africa. You know, people know South Africa, that is a diverse country, with diverse cultures and everything. And it is famous that we have 11 official languages, you know, and we've got different races, you know, blacks, Indians, coloreds, whites, you know. And we also know for a fact that you know, it's history that is of apartheid. It's got history of apartheid thanks to the likes of Nelson Mandela that we're now free. And it also serves as a question really now that are we really free, or it's just, you know, what's said there to the world that South Africa is free. Maybe if you go to the townships, people are still, you know, crying, people are still suffering, you know, people are still uneducated, unemployed. And do we really call that freedom? But, you know, some people may actually choose to differ because, you know, we're actually free to express ourselves. And, you know, when you look at our constitution, it is a very good constitution. There's a freedom of speech, freedom of choice, you know, we're very free as South Africans. And being free, and then you see that in the township, that people are free, you know, they do everything, you know, out of will, you know, they do everything from their willingness, but then still there's also, you need it goes with responsibility. That is, as much as you're free, but you can also be sued for saying things or doing things which are antisocial or otherwise, you know. And then what you see in the township. So I'm going to take you through South Africa from the township to the city, from the city to the village, you know, just to give you a glimpse of how South Africa is like. I'll start with the villages. In the villages, it is a dire situation there. Very difficult, you know, people are staying in remote rural areas and they travel barefooted, you know, miles and miles to school, you know, and it's a family with mothers and with their kids, a lot of kids, because, you know, as black people back then in the days, especially if you had nothing to do, you know, one thing that they would do just to excite themselves, because they didn't have a lot of, you know, entertainment facilities. So one way adults would excite themselves or give them that, you know, feel good kind of thing, they would do sex, you know. So, and as a result, you know, there's a lot of kids in their household. And with this thing of polygamy, you know, there's a lot of mothers, you know, South Africa, you know, even our president, let me not talk about our president, but then, you know, the polygamy, you know, it's happening in South Africa. So a father, you know, of the family has a lot of wives, maybe 6 wives, with each wife maybe with 6 children, you know. You can imagine how many children then they're, you know, running around the family. And maybe the father, it's not there. The father is, you know, in the cities, you know, working, you know, trying to get money for the family, you know, for them to eat. And in the villages, there's still that woman, there's still that, you know, perception that a place of a woman is in the kitchen. So they're not allowed to go to work. So they do the household duties and everything, running the family, as the father is in the cities trying to get money for the family to survive and all of that. It's very difficult because, you know, maintaining that kind of family, it's very difficult, and actually with one breadwinner. And so the situation there, it's very dire. And that's the other part of South Africa. But then, you know, they're improving maybe, you know, some, you know, parts of the, maybe there's some parts of that village or have electricity and running water. Maybe some part though doesn't have such, you know, stuff. So they need to use maybe paraffin stove or make fire, you know, they are all fire. And then they need to go to the rivers. So there's still people in South Africa using water from from the river to drink, and that's not healthy. And so you wonder whether South Africa it's still free. But then South Africa, you know, the new South Africa, you know, was born in 1994, so it's still very young. So we're just taking one step, one crawl at a time, trying to mend all these things. But you just wonder that it's been a lot of time, you know, why is it not happening really? But, you know, they're trying their ultimate best. And then you go to the township. In the township, you find all sorts of people. And that is the core, you know, that is where the core of South Africa is at. If you really want to see how South Africans live, you should go to the, you know, to the townships in Umlazi, Soweto, Gugulethu, Khayelitsha, KwaMashu, all those, you know, townships, and that it is vibe, it's happening, people are full, you know, that the township is buzzing with noise and life, you know, people are actually positive, there's positive energy, positive attitude, positive thinking in the townships, and you find different cliques there, of different people, you know, you find people in the corners, you know, in the ghettos, you know, corners smoking that stuff, you know, and it's only a norm now for the guys there to make their little shack in the corners, their little shacks, and in those shacks then they sell stuff, they sell fruits, vegetables, you know, snacks and all of those things, just to, you know, because there's no jobs, you know, in South Africa, and then they've got nothing, and some of them, you know, left school, so they do not have any formal education whatsoever. So instead, they start their little small businesses, if you'd call them businesses, and then they, yeah, so they're having a, you know, selling for people there, you know, and then obviously they chat about stuff. There's girls coming, you know, having a little, you know how townships, I don't know, but then, you know, there's girls involved there, they're proposing girls as they pass by, picking up, you know, all those things, in a good and in a bad way. And you'd find also, you know, other people in the township which are not for those things, because they believe that you cannot produce, you know, a good person from the corners of the streets. So they feel like if you really want to be someone, you shouldn't be allowing your kids to, you know, to just sit at their laurels there and expect things to happen for them, you know. They need to get out, and then you cannot get a doctor, you cannot produce the doctor from the corners, the street corners. You cannot produce a lawyer from the street corners. And so you find different street cultures, and you know the Western culture is also there. You know, you find people in skinny jeans, you know, suspenders, plimsolls, you know, colorful, and all of that. There's also hip hop culture is also very active there. You know, there's a lot of people, you know, involved with the hip hop culture. You know, MCs, crumpers, you know, beatboxers, you find those types. So it's actually choice assorted. In the township, you find the best of all. And it's very nice there because, you know, one thing that we hold, you know, common in the street, it's that of togetherness. Togetherness is very, you know, we like each other as much as we influenced by different things, but greeting each other, having those little chats, you know, with each other, and, you know, getting to know each other is very, you know, active, and it's happening, you know, and we find good, and laughter, you know, the townships are buzzing with laughter, it's happening, and people now in the townships, they go to the cities, you know how cities like,